Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Citrus Mortgage Bites. I'm joined today by Holly Bettles, a mortgage and protection advisor at CitrusFinancial. So let's get straight into it, Holly. Most recently, Bank of England base rate stuck at 5.25%, which I think by the time the Bank of England next meet on the 1st of August, that will be about a year at 5.25%. So I guess, first of all, what are you seeing in terms of any lender reactions? Is everything still flat like the base rate, or are you starting to see some movement?
Hi, Richard. Yeah, I mean, as you say, a year at 5.25%, and we have had a lot of waves in that time. But the reaction to the latest kind of no movement is that we have had a little flurry of some of the high street lenders actually lower their rates a tad, which is a positive thing, obviously, as far as borrowers are concerned. So there has been a reaction this time, unlike the last couple of kind of holdings where we've not really seen anything from the lenders particularly. There has been the knee-jerk reaction from one of the main high street lenders to have lowered their rates, which has then caused the knock-on effect of a couple of the others doing so as well.
Actually, that's a really interesting point for viewers. So basically, although the Bank of England base rate can be flat, there's lots of other commercial and rate sensitivities that could influence what key lenders are doing. So that, commercial might include, well, if there's market shares to go after, it might be if they know that there's a particular tranche of homeowners with fixed rates coming to an end, they're particularly keen to kind of fight over, if you like, from a business perspective. So actually, that's one thing for borrowers to be aware of, isn't it? That flat Bank of England base rate doesn't necessarily mean flat fixed rate coming out of lenders.
No, it's not. It's, obviously for anyone on a tracker, that would immediately impact what they're going to be paying each month. But for everybody else, there are so many different things that will impact whether or not lenders will increase their rates or decrease their rates. So it's always worthwhile just checking in and having the conversation and going, look, I've seen nothing's happened there, but does that impact me in any way? Or actually, is it still the status quo?
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to take a bit of good news out of there with some potential downward movement, which is encouraging. Let's come on then to, I think the FCA website says there's something like 1.5 million homeowners with a fixed rate mortgage finishing at some point in 2024, which I think is something like 4,000 odd a day. I did a bit of research into this, which scared me hugely. And I think Money Facts are saying, if you look at the 1st of May 2024, the average standard variable rate in the UK, which is typically what borrowers might move on to if they don't do something before their fixed rate product finishes, as at the 1st of May was 8.18%, and it absolutely frightened the life out of me to see such a number. So I guess if you are one of those people that's got a product coming to the, fixed rate product coming to its conclusion this year, you might have been waiting, it might have been coming up, might be coming up in the next few months. What do you do?
Good question. And yeah, they are scary figures. And there's something in the past that, we always sat there and went, we need to make you aware that this might happen. And obviously, we hope that it won't. And that is actually reality for some people now because of the things that have happened in the last couple of years. So if you are coming up for your fixed rate end in the next few months, please talk to an advisor and have a look and see what's out there. It might be as simple as staying with your current lender, which we can help you with and take some of that stress away, but get the answers, because it might be that someone else is offering something better, or actually for your personal circumstances, it might be best to hold off. Or we might be saying, no, we need to move now. You think you've got longer, but actually you need to make this decision and tie something in now. Anything we do with existing lenders or with future mortgage offers, it's all amendable still. So just because you tie something in or you get a new offer out to remortgage somewhere else, if the rates drop between now and when that's due to complete, we can still action that. You can still take advantage of those lower rates. But if things do go in the opposite direction, obviously we hope they don't, you have something there that's tied in that the lender then can't take away from you. So although it does seem tempting to hold off and go, but we think rates are going to drop. We've been thinking that for a while. We've been thinking the base rate would drop for a while. And yes, again, it's kind of proven to us that actually they will do what they need to do. They aren't just going to please us and drop it because everybody's yelling for it. And so don't hold off too long, I think, is my main thing, because to go from maybe 1.5%, 2.5% that you've been tied into up to 8%, that is a huge jump, and you need someone to talk you through that.
Perfect. Okay, makes sense. Thank you very much. And then a final topic for today, I just want to touch on, Holly, is conditional selling. So for people that don't know what this is, we're in sort of that peak home buying season. It seems to me, from what I can see, lots of sold boards are going up. Estate agents. So conditional selling is, for example, where an estate agent will go, well, actually, in order to put your offer forward, perhaps I need you to sit down with our in-house mortgage broker, or it may be quicker if you see our in-house mortgage broker. So let's start from a position of the estate agent is acting on behalf of the seller, and we should always remember that that's what they do. They act on behalf of the seller. So I guess my question to you is, Holly, conditional mortgages like that, is it legal? And if it's not legal, what is it that people can do if they want to, make sure they see nothing wrong with the mortgage brokers? By the way, this is no comment about mortgage brokers inside of estate agents. But if a client decides that that's not the route they want to go down, A, are they allowed to? And B, what can they do if the agent is particularly strong, perhaps, in their way of trying to encourage the person to see someone within the estate agent?
Yeah, this is something that we do come up against every now and again. And no is the answer. They're not allowed to say, unless you sit down and speak to my mortgage advisor, we will not put that offer forward. They are contracted to put forward any offers they receive on that property to the vendor. Yes, they have a right to qualify it to a certain degree, as in they do work for their vendor. You're right, they work for the person selling the house. They want to make sure they get a good buyer for that person selling the house, which is absolutely understandable. But any client is able to evidence their mortgage borrowing capacity, whatever way they want to do that. So if they want to speak to an estate agent about their mortgage, that's absolutely fine to do so, but they shouldn't be strong-armed, for want of a better phrase, into doing that. If you have already spoken to a mortgage professional who is happy to speak to your estate agent or speak to that estate agent on your behalf, that should be enough. They shouldn't be saying you have to talk to our mortgage advisor. And there's a couple of reasons behind that. One, it's just plain not fair. You should be able to use who you're comfortable with. And that's the most important thing when you're taking out a mortgage. It's a massive financial decision. You have to be comfortable with the person who's processing that for you. You have to trust the person who's processing that for you. And in all good conscience, how can you trust a mortgage advisor in an estate agent who's working for the vendor when they then know how much money you can borrow as a maximum? So this isn't about being untrustworthy, but if they know what your maximum borrowing potential is, they know what your maximum offering potential is, and that will only work in the favor of the vendor. So it's not fair for the client if they've been strong-armed into talking to that mortgage advisor. They then have all the client's cards and they can push that price up potentially. As you said, Richard, we're not saying that happens everywhere. We're not saying that it's something that will definitely happen. But if you think about it from the perspective of the client as opposed to the vendor, you are showing your hand if you let the mortgage advisor in the estate agent know your maximum borrowing potential.
And it's really, thanks, Holly. It is really difficult, isn't it? Because you've fallen in love with a house. It's so difficult, the property market at the moment, whether it's a flat, whether it's a house, it is super competitive. There never seems to be enough stock. So, of course, if you're a buyer, you don't want to upset the agent. And I guess that's where it starts to get really difficult. So if you are a buyer, the agent is kind of indicating that perhaps seeing the in-house mortgage broker is what's required. And you have got an external, if you like, mortgage broker that you're talking to. What do you do? What can you do?
Speak to your external mortgage broker. We are always happy for the estate agents to contact us, give us an email, give us a call. We'll talk through the situation with them. Or, there are certain templates out there that you can use to create a letter to say, look, we feel like you're not going to put our offer forward if we don't talk to you. And that will help you through that process. If you were doing it direct with the bank and maybe they didn't offer that service. But if you've got a broker, we are so happy to have that chat with that estate agent and qualify your position. We are just as qualified as the person sat in that mortgage advisor desk at that estate agent, and therefore that should be enough for that estate agent to say, we have spoken to a mortgage professional on your behalf, and therefore we can now put that offer forward to the vendor.
Perfect. Okay, Holly, thank you. And just to reiterate, this is not to say that there is anything untoward with the mortgage advisor sat inside of those estate agents. It's just giving a full context for people who might bump into this situation. Perfect, Holly. That's all we've got time for this month. Thanks very much indeed for joining me. Look forward to seeing you again next month. So that's it for today. Thanks very much indeed. Take care. Bye for now.